So group 2, would you like to share?
Yeah, actually, we had the same kind of simple. So first we show up the teacher support and teacher presence, giving some kind of content feedback, um, saying that you made three incredible sentences, you shared your day. I also went to the supermarket and bought some fruits. I love buying fruits, so we have so many things in common. And yeah, I actually very often met my friends as well. So we show up the personality, we show up the interest, and then we underline the verbs in the present simple form by a particular color marker to show up the grammar mistake and ask, so your sentences are incredible, but let's look at these verbs. Do they match to the past simple? You see here the time marker yesterday, and what we do actually when we have yesterday, ago, last time markers, yeah, we use the past form. Is this verb regular or irregular? So the students would respond and we correct. And then I would drill the form asking go, the students would say went. Meet, the students would say met. I would organize some kind of recycling activity, maybe matching the forms or maybe correcting the mistakes. And then in the suggestion part, I would say, now your sentences are even more incredible. Thanks, blah, blah, something like this.
Thank you so much for your answer. Will you move the slide before this, please? The next.
After that, I have just this for reflection. But when I was uploading it to Google Drive, the notification popped up saying that some components of PowerPoint may not be loaded. So if some slides are missing, that's because of that. I added these interactive elements, but the content, I didn't change it.
Okay, I think the slide before this, there were some pictures. That's why you couldn't open here. Okay, to make feedback more effective, there are several important tips for teachers can allow. First, as we mentioned many times already, first, do not correct every mistake. When students see too many corrections, they may feel confused or disencouraged. Try to focus on the most important mistakes that relate to the lesson goal. The second is focus on the learning objective. For example, if your lesson is about past tense, give feedback mainly on verb forms. And the third is use simple and clear language in order to be understandable and clear for students. Students need to understand your feedback easily so they can improve their work. The next is fourth is balance positive and corrective feedback. Always mention something students did well before giving the correction. This helps build confidence and motivation. Finally, encourage students to use the feedback, give them a chance to revise or improve their work after receiving comments. Feedback is most effective when students apply it. Can we move to the next? Yeah, here is reflection and conclusion. What feedback strategy will you use in your next lesson and why? Today we discussed what what feedback is and why it is important and how can we make it more effective by keeping it clear, specific, and supportive. We also practiced using a simple structure, positive, correction, and suggestion. I hope that these strategies from this session will be useful in your classes.
Yes. Can I try? Can I say?
Yes.
For example, for me, that was really new, but maybe I used that. But today I saw these strategies. So obviously, positive, correction, and suggestion. This is the structure, the kind of a structure that the I will use. So keeping this in my mind. So always start with positive points and then smoothly go to correction and then something to suggest. Yes. And not to pay attention and correct all the mistakes that the student make. So just generally something that is very important. And then yeah, that's it. So in order to encourage the student and to motivate, I think, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you for your answer. Yeah, it's very important to start in positive with positive feedbacks.
Actually, human being like everything positive, Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not about only student and even adults
Yeah,
really
you are right.
stick to it. Yes.
Yeah. Any volunteers, please? Will you share also? Mahinahon is...
Yes,
okay.
Maynahon and Shalo also wrote in the chat, so I think
Yeah.
that also Farzona have mentioned. Maybe we can just read their reflection.
Yeah. Shahlo have written here. Your paragraph is clear and easy to understand. Good job describing your day. Yes, you are right. At first, we will mention we encourage the students. Yeah. The second is you should use past tense. Yeah. We tell them, yeah, I went, bought, talked. I really enjoyed. You are right. The next is try to check verb forms and the past tense and add articles like a long time. Yes, Shahlo, you are right. Thanks for your answer. Farzana have written here, I will use praise, Polish praise.
Yeah, what is it? It's so good. I like this idea, actually.
But I didn't understand this. Maybe she will explain us what is praise, Polish, and praise mean. Really, it's new for me.
Yeah. For me too. I want to know.
Yeah, me too. Farzana, will you explain us? Zohro have written that I'll be using positive correction suggestion formula to provide oral and written feedback. I'll focus only on my target language and kind of ignore other mistakes. Shahlo has written that suggestion. Mahina Khan have written that In my next lesson, I'll use suggestion part from the previous structure because I already use positive and correction. Thank you so much, Mahina Khan, for your response, and others also thank you for your answer.
Bahon, can I add something? So I don't
Yeah.
want to talk for who shared this idea, Polish praise, Polish and praise.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't
Yeah.
want to talk to say something for her, but it's just my idea. I would like to share. Maybe praise, it's yes. When we praise someone, this is positive. We understand it's yes, and I mean, I care about Polish, you know. First, I thought that's Polish. This is a country, yes, but that's not. The second idea came like maybe it's Polish when we polish something, you know, to make it clear and to do it very very accurately, you know, polish something, and then again praise, maybe suggestion, yeah, praise again. So I think so, but really I cared for correction. I think Polish is the correction, maybe something related to correction, because when we polish something, it becomes better, it becomes clearer, something like that. Maybe it's just an idea.
Hello, everyone. Aziza, you are quite right. I
Wow.
learned this feedback in TSET that if you, for example, give a feedback, you can use PPP. We called it PPP, praise, polish, praise. For example, as the teacher Taibahon said, that first we encourage them, motivate them, and then we will say their mistake. For example, which kind of mistake they made, and after this also we will praise them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you for your answer.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, dear participants, for your active participation, and dear Taibahon for this presentation about importance of feedback and how to provide it correctly so that it is effective and for students learning, not for us to criticize them. So, dear all, let us quickly check in for today's session. And we continue with a small presentation about self-assessment techniques. So while you are following the link in the chat and checking in for today, let me share my screen again. So right now we also need to talk a little bit about self-assessment practices to conclude the week 3 of our online course, which is all about assessment for learning. And when we talk about assessment, it's impossible to not include self-assessment and peer assessment practices. In this presentation, we will focus mainly on self-assessment practices. So before we start, can anyone please unmute and try to explain what is self-assessment, and if you have ever heard this word, if you have ever learned about this, or maybe just have some guesses about what this could mean from these two familiar words, self-assessment.
Can I say?
I guess self-assessment is giving feedback to ourselves, yes? Or how to say to...
Kind of.
Yeah, like to...
maybe evaluate yourself.
Yeah,
Later
yes.
oneself,
Evaluate
okay.
yourself, yes. Completely agree.
Yes, good. Good. I'm glad that you agree on that. Yes, that's right. Self-assessment practices are practices when not the teacher assesses the student's progress, but students themselves do that using specific tools, the tools that teacher provides them. Okay, so when we are talking about self-assessment, we can use these 8 tools that are easy and are accessible for all teachers, regardless of technology or electricity or anything. So they are available in low resource classrooms as well. These 8 tools are rubrics, scripts, journals, portfolios, traffic lights, exit cards, paired marking, and dedicated improvement and reflection time. Now, please let me know which one you have already used in your classes, which one is familiar for you, so that we do not spend much time on the familiar ones, but spend more times on something unknown. Rubrics. Do you know anything about this?
I think yes, rubrics.
Mhm.
Yes.
Piruza, could you please explain what is that and how do you use it? Piruza, if you could unmute yourself or write in the chat. I see some messages there. Self-assessment is when I evaluate my own work. I check what I did well and what I need to improve. Thank you, Shalo. That's completely right. Oi.
Can I share how do I understand what rubrics are?
Yes, sure. Just a second. I reshare the screen. Yes, please go ahead.
So I definitely use rubrics to set the self-assessment in my classes. So by rubrics, I understand some assessment criteria. Yeah, the students should follow to achieve the learning objective. For example, if we talk about past simple, so the rubrics might be the student can make at least 3-4 sentences in past simple correctly. The second rubric might be a student can apply time markers correctly, and the third is a student can share about some past events or participate in conversation. So if we or, for example, if I use mostly I use self-assessment in the very beginning of the lesson to test the student's background, or in the very end of the lesson to recycle and just give them some reflection. And in the very beginning of the lesson, I give them kind of verbs, for example, to shift into past form. Go, went, I don't know, right, wrote, and then I give them answer keys, and they check, cross, and tick the correct and wrong answers. And then I show them the assessment criteria, so you know how to you differentiate, for example, regular and irregular forms in past simple. So it means you kind of achieve, number 1 criteria. So +1, bonus or whatever. And so this is how I use in the very beginning. And in the very end of the lesson, I give them true-false tasks. For example, we use present simple past simple when we talk about something happening tomorrow. True, false. And then I give them again the answer keys, the correct answers, and they tick and cross the answers and understand whether they are right or not.
Yes, so this is good that you mentioned criteria. So this is a list of some criteria that students might want to consider to achieve a specific grade, let's say, goal. Okay, good. Thank you very much for sharing. Dear all, and Aygirim too, do you know any other of these tools? Maybe you heard anything about them or learned something about them, or maybe even practiced using them in your classes.
Yes, I do use traffic lights as well, especially with primary English. Yeah, the young learners, they might use green if they know and understand the topic quite well. And if they have some concerns, they might choose the orange card and the red one if they didn't understand anything.
Okay. Yes, this is exactly how it works, right? Okay. Okay. Good. So anyways, let us quickly remember in more details, let's say, about all these tools and learn a little bit about those that we haven't heard about. Jumagul says rubrics are great. I'm going to use them regularly, but unfortunately, I haven't used them. Exit ticket is welcome in my class. Aiza says I use journaling and dedicated and DIRT in my class. Okay, good. So let's start with rubrics. As Agirim has already mentioned, rubrics are an assessment tool which include two types of information. First of all, this is a list of criteria. You should be able to do this, and this. So there should be a ready-made list of criteria. And then there should also be a scale for grading the different levels of achievement for each of the criteria. For example, criteria. Student used tense markers correctly. Student used tense markers, and then assessment scale for grading would be 5, all correct. 4 used some correct but had mistakes with irregular verbs. And then, for example, grade 3 will be didn't use grades correctly but occasionally used some irregular verbs. Okay, so you not only set the list of criteria, but also explain the grading for each criteria, and this grading has to have the grade also, the scale also. When you use the grade rubrics for self-assessment, students compare their work according to this list of rubrics, list of criteria, and they evaluate themselves. As Aigiri mentioned, you can do that in different parts of the lesson. You can do this at the beginning so that students understand where to put their attention, what to pay attention to, where to put their effort, and plan their work. You can also use it at the end of the classroom so that they grade themselves. And you can also use rubrics so that students rewrite their work using that and improving it. Okay, so this is rubrics. I think that many teachers actually do use it, but maybe you didn't know that it is called rubrics. Next one is scripts. Scripts are set of specific questions that show the clear steps, where to start, what to do next, and it shows you somehow of path how to achieve success and achieve the learning outcome for the specific language unit. This is useful, especially when there is some kind of difficult task and students need to follow some specific steps to complete the task successfully. When there are scripts, students can understand if they are on the right track or if they are doing something wrong. Okay, so that they can adjust their learning while they are doing it. Next one is journals. If I'm not mistaken, someone wrote in the chat that they are using, yes, Aziza said that she's using journaling in her classes. And this is where a practice when students reflect in writing about how their learning is going, what they need to improve, where they need help, what is good, what is weak for them right now. So this is a writing practice when students reflect on their own understanding of the specific language units. But teacher's role is really important here because if you just give complete freedom to your students, they probably will either write something very, very briefly or don't write anything at all. So you need to provide specific time for journaling. You can provide guiding questions so that they understand what exactly they should be writing in these journals. Okay. So you could create a specific list of questions about the topic or generally related to different topics, and your students will need to answer those questions and write it in their journals to reflect on their learning. Next is portfolios. I think in Tajikistan it is not very popular self-assessment tool, but this one is really effective because this is a collection of students' work, and from this collection, students understand their progress better. They see how they started, and then after some time, they see what progress they have achieved. And this is a really great tool to motivate oneself, because when you see your progress, you feel proud of yourself, and this motivates you to study more and more and make more progress. So portfolios are great tools to collect this work. So portfolios can be dedicated to specific pieces of work. For example, it can be portfolio of essays. Let's say during the academic year, you have 10 or 15 essays with your students, and ask your students to not just write them in their notebooks or submit to you, but also keep a portfolio of these essays. And then at the end of the year, they can just read their first essay and then their last essay and reflect on their progress. I assure you, this is a really motivating practice, because when learning is long, we tend to not notice our progress. That's why it's really important to notice our progress, and portfolios can help us with that. Portfolios are also good for goal setting, because from them you can track if you achieved the goal or no. Okay, but teachers need to provide time when students will summarize and reflect on these portfolios and identify areas of strengths and growth together in the class or in a written assignment. Okay. Next is exit cards. I think that we already talked about exit tickets, and this is a similar tool. This is activity, let's say, when at the end of the lesson, students write a comment about what they have learned in the lesson and where they need help. This can be a small piece of paper or just a post-in. These colored papers, they are called post-ins. So students write what they have learned and where they need help, and they submit it to teacher, and then teacher reads this, and then teacher understands where he or she needs to put more effort next time. Okay, you can also do this digitally using some quiz applications such as Mentimeter or Kahoot or many other quizzes. Charlotte says that I use portfolio. At the end of each week, we have a WhatsApp group in which everyone sends their work, and then we discuss it together. This is good, Charlotte, but I would also suggest that every student has a individual portfolio where there is a collection of his or her own work, so that student can turn pages in it and read and then understand his or her progress, because in WhatsApp group chat, the history of the chat can get hectic and it's sometimes difficult to find something there. Next is traffic lights. Igrim was completely right in explaining how it works. Yes, this is a good and very, very simple technique. It's when students label with green something that they have understood well, something which is good, they think is good. Then they label as yellow something that is partially clear for them, and then with red something that is not clear for them, or they have little understanding of that. You need to know about these traffic lights that it can only work if students feel safe sharing it. If they know that this is a friendly and supportive environment where they're not judged because they don't know something or because they think they didn't understand something, but every opinion is welcomed and appreciated. So if students feel safe, they will share honestly if they feel something is green, yellow, or red to them. But if you couldn't establish this friendly learning environment, then students will feel shy and everything will be just green all the time. Okay. This one can help you for grouping activities. For example, we have talked last week about grouping activities and pairing activities and how to put students to groups or pairs. One way is to use traffic lights too, when you could pair green students with yellow students, red students with yellow students also. So you understand how to put students in groups so everyone learns from each other, but no one is staying behind or no one is demotivated. Next one is paired marking. It's generally when students exchange work and assess it, okay? They can use some rubrics or some criteria to assess each other works. You can also give them scripts or examples, exemplars, that will help them to assess each other so that you do not get everything was good at the end of the class, right? Because students like to assess too well each other. They will just write it was great, no mistakes. So you can provide them some scripts, some rubrics so that they evaluate honestly how well their pair did during a specific task. Okay. This one, DIRT, Dedicated Improvement and Reflection Time. Taibajon has talked about feedback. So when there is a lot of submissions and students already have a lot of feedback from teacher and from their peers, they can have this collection of feedback, and then you can dedicate some time in your classroom when students take all this feedback and read and analyze it. Students can respond to feedback saying that they improved in this regard, they didn't understand these questions in the feedback, or they do not agree with this part of feedback. So this is time in your class when students respond to feedback that you provided to them or other students provided to them. You need to organize it regularly so that it works. Okay. So this was a very brief overview of different self-assessment tools. Now let us practice. I have here 3 scenarios. You need to say your opinion, which self-assessment tool will be the most effective in the specific scenario. So scenario number 1, who wants to read it? Who wants to take scenario 1? Now you can just read it. We can discuss which self-assessment tool can be effective here, and then we can all agree or disagree on your decisions. Or you can take second or third scenario. Let me see who is here in the group. Azizai, Natulo, Donistamo. Donistamo, we didn't hear from you today, so maybe you want to read one of the scenarios and try to choose the self-assessment tool. Jumagul, Rayan, Taibajon, Aigirim, Shahlo, Farzona.
I think I would choose the first one.
Yes, please. Could you please first read it and then tell us which tool you think would work here and explain why?
So scenario 1, students are struggling to break down the complex steps of analyzing a poem. You want to give them a step-by-step list of questions they can ask themselves to stay on the right track. So I think that here the rubrics might be correct. So you can provide some examples and the scale as well.
Mm-hmm.
The student might follow, and then the student take time and the student complete, and you can scaffold and support, come and see, somehow comment. And then in the very end, when the student complete the task, the student might follow the rubrics, follow the scales, and assess himself.
Okay, I think that could work. Yes, thank you very much for sharing. Anyone else? Please tell us if you agree with Aygirim or you don't. And you can also take one of the two scenarios that are left, scenario 2 and scenario 3. So scenario 2, you want students to give each other feedback on their creative writing. But you want to make sure the feedback is kind and helpful, not just this is good. And scenario 3, you have just taught 10 difficult vocabulary words. And before the quiz, you want students to identify which words they feel secure with and which ones they still need to study. So what self-assessment tools can be helpful in these two scenarios?
So for the third one, I think the traffic light is matching perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, if we establish the safe atmosphere and supportive group, members. And for the second one, I think journals might be right.
This is about giving feedback to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Journaling is more an individual practice.
Yeah, I do understand. Okay. Maybe I don't know, was it mentioned here, but a sandwich feedback might be given as well. So first, the second student might say something positive, and the second one shared some suggestions to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And the third, again, something positive to
Do you
the
remember
partner.
how it is called when students exchange their work to check each other?
A kind of peer assessment, peer checking, peer editing.
Yes, it's peer marking. Thank you very much, Aygirim. You're my supporter, my best student today. Thank you very much. So, what you said can work, of course, in specific classroom scenarios, in your classroom scenarios. Different teachers prefer different strategies. Here, I have prepared the list of, let's say, like universal practices that would work in these scenarios, but other practices could work as well. So for the first scenario, we would go for scripts. Why? Because students are struggling to break down these steps. And if you remember scripts, those are the detailed paths that take students from one point to another so that students achieve learning outcomes. That's why scripts would work perfectly well if students are struggling in analyzing something, some texts or some poems. In my scenario, it was poems, but it could be text generally too. So scripts can be helpful tool for that scenario. Number 2 is completely right. Aygirim, yes, it's paired marking. If you remember, I mentioned that you do not just ask students to exchange their work, but you also provide some instructions on how to do that. You give them either rubrics or scripts or just set of criteria and ask them to evaluate each other according to this specific criteria. And the last one, yes, also absolutely right. It's traffic lights. Students label something that they know well with green, those words that they remembered well, understood well, some words that they understood partly with yellow, and words where they have little understanding with red. And then you will understand as a teacher where you should put additional effort and what you need to revise. Okay, so to summarize this presentation, I will send you a PDF document which you can use as a cheat code for yourself to remember what are the self-assessment tools, why they are effective, in what specific situations they are effective. So I believe that the PDF that I'm going to send you will be very useful for you if you actually read it and start using it. But with that, we conclude the week 3 of our online course. We have covered the topics related to assessment. We have talked about providing feedback, about self-assessment techniques, about how to align assessment with learning objectives, and also about differences between summative and formative assessment. Next week, we start talking about activities for English language classes. First, we will talk about reading and writing activities, and then about speaking and listening activities. On Saturday, we will talk about integrating all 4 language skills in one class, and then about adapting activities for large and mixed ability classes. So next week is going to be a very interesting and very practical week. Thank you very much for being with us today. I wish you a great, interesting, positive, fun, and full of love weekend, and then new week as well. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for being great, dedicated teachers. And goodbye, everyone.